Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome into episode 25 of Jacket Sports Weekly. Here today, we're bringing you track and field right before the PAC Championships coming up this week. Then we go into baseball as they finish out the rest of their regular season, looking into softball as they enter into the PAC playoffs as well at the number 5 seed. And then we look back at the entire sports season and what we have to offer for you with top 10 plays of the year. And then we end it all here with a farewell from our producers of Jacket Sports Weekly.
Welcome to Jacket Sports Weekly, Waynesburg University's weekly sports show where we cover the best of the best in athletics. Our analysts discuss a multitude of highlight plays such as touchdown passes.
And Barber's going to throw again, one-on-one. Does he got it in him? That's a catch! Tyler Richmond with flags thrown everywhere makes the catch! Touchdown Waynesburg!
And ones.
This was low, Waynesburg's gonna get it! Suggs is gonna pull away here, go for the layup, and it's gonna fall in and one! PJ Suggs!
And home runs.
Higgins drives one to left field. The left fielder running back, and that ball is out of here. Grace Higgins.
Join us every Wednesday to see what's new in Waynesburg University athletics.
Welcome in here on Jacket Sports Weekly. I'm Joe Chirillo, your host for today's segments. Coming in with track and field, we talked a lot about them in our last episode, so make sure to go check out episode 24 if you want a more in-detailed look. But here today we have Ethan Spozarski with us for the final time on track and field, in which we are getting into who we can keep an eye out for from the Yellow Jackets going into the President's Athletic Conference Championships this coming weekend. So Ethan, welcome back up for your final time.
Thank you.
Let's get into it. What Yellow Jackets are we going to want to watch the most going into on the track side and on the field side?
So now to note that there is a change. Traditionally in the past, the PAC has let everybody and anybody attend the PAC Championships and compete. However, this year there's been a change. I believe the list has now switched to its top 25. So that means that there's going to be a cut-down list of athletes for every team in the PAC. Waynesburg will be turning their list in today. They're due by 7 o'clock today while we're recording on Monday. However, they won't be official until Wednesday. However, if I were to take a guess on some of the names that I believe will make the list and we can look out for, there's 5 on each side. Starting with the women, we have 3 throwers and then 2 distance runners I think we should really look out for. First, for throwers, Riley Baker, Gabrielle Chico, and following up with Natalie Double as well. I think those are your 3 biggest competitors who have shined all the way through indoor and outdoor. Consistent PRs. I mean, we just saw Riley Baker last week in talking about it. She set a school record, her own PR by a whole 3 meters. I think that's big to note. I think Double has also had a throw in the top 10 this year in the entire country in javelin. And then Gabrielle Chico's consistently PRing and consistently putting up top 10 performances as well. So I think those are your 3 big throwers for the women's side. Then Erin Belville and Grace Tanksley round out my top 5 women to look at. 2 distance runners. Erin, a freshman, came in for cross country. He's done a really good job being consistent. Grace Tanksley she's been absolutely a running weapon for the women's team her entire collegiate career. I think we'd be doing her a disservice if we didn't talk about her real quick. But now for the men's side, a much shorter roster compared to the women's. Only about half the women's roster size. However, first and foremost, Jacob Parker. Duh. I think that's pretty safe to say. Carrying on some other throwers, I think Kyle Knowlton and Liam Smith, we've touched on them a little bit so far the past couple weeks. I think you got to keep a look at them, consistently PRing, consistently finding their way up. Even though they're not in the top 5, they're always in the top 10, top 15 to look at. Nikki Todd as well, someone else. He's a distance runner. He's been involved in the 4x4 event as well. I think he's done a really good job this year. And then finally, Marcus Crum Jr., who's traditionally a long jumper. I think he's done a really good job, especially as a starting corner for the football team. That gives him a bit of an advantage to be able to compete well in these games. And if he's given the ticket to go compete, I see why not. Why not look at him and consider him as a real threat in the long jump?
Well, that's going to do it all for the track and field. We don't want to continue what we just put everything together in on episode 24. We don't want to just reword it for you all. So if you're interested on a more in-depth analysis of what happened at the Mountaineer Showcase, and then also what we're going to be mainly looking for going into the President's Athletic Conference Championships, go check out that episode. Myself and Ethan both up there talking about it. So make sure to look in for that. But Ethan, thank you very much for everything you've had for Jacket Sports Weekly and WCTV related.
Yep.
Your last Jacket Sports Weekly here today.
Woo!
So that's going to do it all for track and field. When we come back, we're going to go over to baseball with Benicio DeFalco. Welcome back here on Jacket Sports Weekly. I'm Joe Chirillo with you. Continuing on here, we have baseball now to talk about how they're going to wrap up their regular season coming up on Saturday, May 2nd, just the day right before graduation here at Waynesburg University. I'm joined with Benicio DeFalco to get us through for what we got left of this baseball season. It's been a rough one, that's to say the least. With Chatham, they lost both games in a really bad fashion, especially in the second one, which we'll touch on here shortly. Lost both games to Geneva, now against Teal on this coming Saturday. They need to win both to not be last in the conference. Currently, Teal does have 2 games up on them, so we shall see what happens. But break down what we saw from Chatham, what we saw from Geneva, and where that's going to take them.
So starting things off with the Chatham series. Game 1, Waynesburg lost 8-5. Waynesburg actually led 5-2 after 3 innings. The offense exploded in the third with 4 runs and multiple RBI hits. They out-hit Chatham 11-7, but they couldn't get things done. Hunter Hamilton had an RBI double. He's been a strong suit for this Waynesburg team, which hasn't had many throughout the season. Only 11-27 overall record, 2-18 in the conference. That's last. And then Game 2, they lost the game 17-2, which is crazy considering Game 1 was this. You trail by 3.
Yeah.
You're only trailing by 3 in Game 1. And like I mentioned, Waynesburg led 5-2 after 3 innings. There was none of that in Game 2. The bats completely cooled off. Pitching couldn't find it. It was a bad day in general. Taking things over to Geneva, Waynesburg lost the first game as well, 9-5. Geneva jumped off to a 4-run first inning. Waynesburg really wasn't able to respond from there. Alex Ashbury was able to score a run in the 8th to kind of make things interesting. But, you know, once you're trailing by 3 in the last inning, you're kind of rooting for everything to go your way.
Right.
And so many things have to happen in order to succeed. You got to have, you got to get runners on base. You got to hope that someone gets, at least a line drive or something into the outfield to try to bring someone in. None of that happened in the last. And then taking things over to the final game in the Geneva series, 13-12, Waynesburg lost. This game was the best game they played in weeks. Waynesburg, it was a back and forth throughout the game. Obviously, 25 runs scored. That's a lot of runs in the President's Athletic Conference. Geneva actually led 10-4 after 4 innings, and then Waynesburg completely put their foot on the gas. And Eli Boring had a huge 2 RBI triple early. He had an RBI later. Noah Gabriel had a sac fly, bringing in an RBI. That was a big part. Caden Flambard had multiple hits. He's been another strong suit for the Yellow Jackets throughout the season. He's up there in sac bunts. He was first for a while, went down to 2. He's back up to first at the Division III level. So it wasn't a great effort from the Yellow Jackets, but you're going to try to bounce forward, being that it's going to be the last game coming up here.
I think the big thing as well is that a lot of other players are playing at their best in some scenarios while others aren't. And so we get a lot of highlight games from some specific players, but in this case it's just not really becoming a team effort right now, and that's okay. The season has been over for them for a few weeks now, and they know that, and so they're going into it kind of just more with a fun mindset, being able to make it for themselves, making themselves better, and continuing from that. So for this Teal game coming up on Saturday, May 2nd, again, they have to win both of them to then tie with Teal in the conference, but then they have the tiebreaker overall with the overall record, so they need to win both if they don't want to be last in the conference. Most likely, though, however, when it comes to their track record, where they could have split a game with Geneva and could have split games otherwheres, they have not been able to get these wins. So what do they need to do? What do they need to make happen in order to achieve a victory on this Saturday?
So for the Yellow Jackets, you're finally returning home. I think that's going to be an added factor. For all these seniors, it's their last game playing at their home turf. The seniors, they're going to get involved. And I'm looking at the bullpen. You look at the senior group in general, they're almost completely in the bullpen. You got Zach Scabelli, Ethan Earhart, Dalton Lucy, Hudson Pinkovich. I want to see who they're going to start on the mound. I'd expect Earhart and Lucy, but you're going to see a lot of time from Hudson and Scabelli as well. So I'd be looking at those key contributors. Listen, at this point in the season, I'm letting Earhart and Lucy get in an AB. Like I mentioned, they're going to be on the mound pitching, but when they're not pitching, I'd throw them out there. And game 2, Earhart starts game 1. Game 2, let him get some ABs. 100 strikeouts in his career here at Waynesburg. Same thing with Lucy. These guys have paved the way for the younger athletes on this team. Not that it's been a great season, but you're playing for last place. You don't want to be last place, and I understand that. So you're going to try to get a win, but I'd also give these seniors a little bit of respect and also something to look forward to. Ethan Earhart hasn't had an AB since, there's a chance, same thing, maybe even middle school. Because some coaches, their pitchers, they just pitch.
Yeah.
There's rare circumstances where these guys get into the box, so I'd let them have their opportunity. It's baseball at the end of the day. It's the sport they've been playing for their whole entire lives. When you think about baseball, you think about bat on ball. Let them give the opportunity.
Real quickly for you, what does this team need to do within the offseason to kind of make this a little bit better for them going into next season?
So unfortunately, just the way baseball works, the baseball season at the collegiate level is at the same time as the high school level. So recruiting's been real tough. You're dealing with games on top of games. Waynesburg might play a doubleheader, and then you might have to go to Cannon Mac, an hour or two before or after to try to recruit. So recruiting's been tough. So all the recruiting's going to be going into summer ball. This freshman group has a lot of talent. We've seen a lot of guys throughout the season step up. Eli Boring, one of them to name. So you're going to look at those guys to continue their off-season workouts. You're going to get them a good off-season workout plan. But also you're going to be recruiting all throughout summer ball, trying to get the good names. Waynesburg, just to read off some stats, 212 hits, 155 runs, but 51 errors defensively. I try to recruit in the infield.
When it goes to the infield, we shall see what happens. A lot of guys are leaving that side of the ball, and so a lot of changes coming up here for the baseball team. Benny, thank you very much for joining us in your last Jacket Sports Weekly.
It's been awesome, man. I can't, this was one of the first shows I ever came on. Joe Vinzel was running it at the time. That's just insane to think about, and just how far the show has come. It's been a great ride.
Well, thank you very much, Benny, for everything you've done for us. So that's going to do it all for this baseball season. We'll see what they can do coming up on this Saturday. Make sure to check on WaynesburgSports.com for the outcomes of those games. And a lot of changes coming in for the baseball offseason as well. When we return, we bring in the circle with some softball with Gombita. Welcome back here on Jacket Sports Weekly. On today's segment, we're getting into some softball with them getting into the President's Athletic Conference Championships after last season not panning out as well for them. And now this time, they're going into the playoffs as the 5th seed. After their split against St. Vincent, they clinched a spot. We just didn't know where it was seeding out. But after the 2 losses against Westminster, when they traveled to Westminster, then after that and all the other conference matches happening, the dust has settled. 5th spot is it for the softball team. Joined up here by Gombita, who's going to break it down for us on where we're going to see this team, who they're going to play, and what the President's Athletic Conference playoffs are going to pan out for us.
Yeah, Joe, so the only thing that wasn't settled out this past weekend was the seeding. We knew what the field was going to be. We just didn't know if Waynesburg was going to be a 4, if they were going to be a 5. Either way, they end up playing Hiram. The game's going to be at 10 a.m. I reckon it's going to be a pretty close matchup between them and Hiram. They split the regular season series. Westminster is the host team. They have hosted 4 of the last 5 now. Grove City hosted it last year, but it's always that top seed that gets to host. And if Waynesburg does win, they will play Westminster later in the day. And I feel like the perception of that game is kind of like they have to wake up the bats, because against Westminster this past weekend they only put up 1 run in about 13 innings.
Well, that's my next question for you, is that those losses to Westminster, they were some pretty brutal losses, and a lot of different players coming into it having some hard opportunities to get into. Morgan Walt officially got her first loss on the season. And so does this just foreshadow what's going to come within the playoffs? I think Hiram's a pretty good team, but they can beat them. So then once it gets to that Westminster game, is that just foreshadowing that we just saw this past weekend? What does that look like?
Well, Joe, I just think they can't let those two games live in their head rent-free. I mean, Cheyenne Piper, she was nearly untouchable. She had a no-hitter going into the fourth inning. It actually got broken up by a Jamie Kelly double, which tied the single-season program record with 18. They needed a run to continue the game, and they got that run thanks to an RBI single from Cassidy Trimble. So when they needed a run to continue the game from having the mercy rule, they came through. Obviously, you don't want to get that far behind, so I think just early in the game, too, if you look at the score from the first two innings of both games, it was Westminster 15, Waynesburg nothing, and then the rest of the way it was 1-1. So it's really going to come down to those first couple innings against Westminster. So I feel like that's kind of what they're focusing on.
And then after Westminster, who could potentially be some other teams that we see, and who are those other teams just in the conference in general? Bethany
and St. Vincent are in the fold. You never know. They could run into Hiram again further down the line. It all depends on how the bracket falls. They're leaving super early Thursday morning to head up because it's a 10 a.m. game. So they're probably going to be, they might be a little worn out. They might be a little jaded by the end of the day. But they just got to hang in there and take it one game at a time. If they win that Hiram game, they're playing later at 2 p.m. And I'm not even sure Westminster's going to throw their top pitcher because they might be trying to save her for later in the tournament. So could the dominoes fall for the team? We will see. But right now, the success has been dominant for them, and they've continued to find their diamonds in the rough, you might say, with Morgan Walt coming in and being a phenomenal pitcher. She was brought in mainly as an outfielder, but now with the pitching staff, she's been doing quite well with 8 total wins right now, 7 complete games. It's been amazing for her. But then also seeing a lot of different people come in and be successful. Bryn Charneski, when she gets more time at second base, Heitman in left field. You're seeing a lot more success being brewed. So where can this team build off of it? No matter what the outcome is going into the playoffs, what can they do to continue to build off of it going into next season and make next season an even better one? I think it comes with leadership. They're losing 5 pretty big leaders on the team, the seniors that are about to graduate. But I think that those seniors have set the standard for what the years are to come, and they just got the underclassmen, they have to be able to hear that message and spread it down to the incoming freshman class. And we have a great freshman class now. They have to continue to make that next step as sophomores. But in the meantime, we got a tournament to play, so one more rally here with this group that we got.
What's going to be the biggest challenge for them going into the playoffs? Is it going to be the hitting from them? Is it going to be the defense on these other teams? Is just the other team's ability to make runs and bring them in? Is that going to be the hardest? What is going to be the biggest challenge going into the playoffs?
If I had to pick one thing, I would say hitting, because from time to time that they have had those games where the bats kind of go silent. We saw it against Westminster. They even kind of had a game like that against Hiram where they only put up 3 runs. So really, you just got to hang in there in the batter's box, kind of like some leaves on a tree. Just patient at bats, and maybe you'll put some runs across the plate.
Well, Brett, thank you very much for your softball coverage with us here on Jacket Sports Weekly. We shall see you next season.
Yeah, no emotion from me. I got one more year in me.
Well, that's going to do it all for this softball segment. Coming up, we have our top 10 plays of the year with Stone Manges and a farewell from the producers.
Welcome back into Jacket Sports Weekly. I'm Stone Manges. And as we near the end of the 2025-26 season, you know what that means. It is time for the top 10 plays of the year. We are kicking it off with number 10, Larissa Howe, with a set-winning kill against rival Washington and Jefferson. Perfectly placed. The assist from Riley Ruffley, and the Yellow Jackets won the set 25-21. We stay on the court with number 9, Grant Barnhart. Hit what would be the game-winning 3 against Hiram. A nice assist from Aiden Blake there as he buries it from beyond the arc. Waynesburg would go on to win 84-82. On to number 8, freshman Jose Lopez Jr. A walk-off single scoring 2 runs to give Waynesburg the win 6 6-5 against Franciscan. That's your number 8 play. At number 7, freshman Marcus Crum Jr. against Hiram, the rain delay game that went on for hours. He seals the game with an interception in the end zone to give Waynesburg their first home conference win of the year. Waynesburg won 35-27. At number 6, Braylee Corbin, a historic home run against St. Vincent, her 8th home run of the year to set the single-season record for home runs against St. Vincent for the Yellow Jackets. They would win that game 4-1. In 5th place, Zachary Johnson. He scored 3 goals in this game against Penn State Altoona. This is his second. He takes it all the way down the field and buries it behind the Penn State goalkeeper. He would set the single-game program record for points with 7 in that game. They won 7-1. At number 4, Haley Gilchrist, the game-winning goal against Keene State in the ECAC championship. This is Waynesburg's first ECAC title win. That is your number 4 play. The number 3 play of the year, senior Callista Friday, a historic point against Franciscan at the charity stripe, her 1,000th career point. Friday transferred over 216 points from Defiance College, 784 at Waynesburg to compile the 1,000 career points. At number 2, Jesse Orban, his second straight PAC title with a pin against St. Vincent. There you see Orban going to work. He would win the 2025 PAC title. It was Jacket Sports Weekly Play of the Year last year. Congrats to Jesse Orban. And then at number 1, Jacob Harker, winning the PAC championship in shot put for the 2nd year in a row. This is the throw that beat his school record that he set from last season. Have you ever seen a man throw a shot put that far? He now has 8 of the top 10 throws in program history. Just a junior, Harker has 1 more year at Waynesburg to add another possible title. Congrats, Jacob. And that is going to wrap up our top 10 plays of the year, our final top play segment of the semester. But don't go anywhere because our producers Tyler, Aaron, and Mia Henkins will be right back to say their final goodbyes here on Jacket Sports Weekly.
Welcome back to Jacket Sports Weekly. I'm Mia Henkins.
And I'm Tyler Aaron.
Thank you for tuning in for this episode, and thank you for tuning in this entire school year. Co-producing Jacket Sports Weekly for the last 2 years has been one of the more impactful experiences in my time here at Waynesburg. Interacting with athletes, watching our analysts grow, and seeing Tyler and my ideas come to life has been amazing for our development in the comm department. Winning a Telly Award was the cherry on top and showed me how much our hard work was paying off. I want to thank former WCTV General Manager Meg Berry for giving us the opportunity to do JSW in the first place, and current General Manager Joe Chirillo for letting us run it back. I also want to thank everyone who has been involved in the show over the past 2 years, whether they were an analyst, host, or behind the scenes. I want to thank Tyler for helping me make sure everything runs smoothly and for getting exciting content out weekly. I couldn't have asked for a better co-producer and friend. And of course, I want to thank viewers who have consistently watched our episodes.
For the past 2 years, I've had the privilege of co-producing Jacket Sports Weekly, helping bring over 50 episodes to life. This show has been built on covering in-depth analysis of all Waynesburg University athletics, along with long nights, quick turnarounds, and a strong commitment to telling the stories of our student athletes. Along the way, we were honored to receive a Bronze Telly Award. This is something that reflects not just one moment, but the consistency and effort that went into every single week behind the scenes. I'm so thankful that Mia and I made something that people truly enjoyed watching. Deciding to take a chance on each other after our freshman year to co-produce was one of the best choices I've ever could have made. Being hired together and getting to work as a team has meant the world to me. I couldn't dream of working with a better partner and a better friend. I'm so happy with what we've achieved, and I'm excited to see where we can go from here. To everyone who watched, supported, and contributed to the show over the last 2 years, I want to say thank you. It's been an incredible experience growing as a producer, and I'll always be proud of what we built here. So for one final time,
I'm Mia Henkins.
And I'm Tyler Aaron, and thank you for watching this episode of Jacket Sports Weekly.
This has been a production of Waynesburg Community Television.